So again, good morning. I'm Judy and Annabelle. And we decided to develop a grassroots campaign via the internet. We use WebPaint, which is a free internet site. One of the reasons why we decided to do a web page is that thinking back to the Obama campaign, we realized how useful the internet was for him to develop a movement, especially with youth, and he was able to just reach a lot more people via the internet than just going door to door and whatnot. And we realized that we wanted to do the same thing. We not only wanted to help people here in Michigan, but also people across the U.S. And the issue that we're advocating for via this web page is passing the DREAM Act. And the DREAM Act is a piece of legislation reform that offers a path towards legalization for undocumented youth that graduated from a U.S. high school and are now enrolled or graduated from a U.S. university or have served in the military. We also partnered up with RISE, and Annabelle will let you guys know a little bit more about RISE.
So this is a student organization that stands for Rising Immigrant Scholars Through Education, and they're actually based at the University of California at Berkeley. And one of the reasons why we decided to partner up with this organization was because they were already involved in the movement. They have a Facebook group, and they have already over 100 members. So we kind of felt that since they don't have a website, we partner up with them. This would be something useful not only to the members but to the community at large and to anybody that's interested in learning more about the DREAM Act and about this issue. And so a lot of the information that we have here, they provided for us, but we also did a lot of outside research in our part in order to incorporate it and make sure that this was not only targeted to RISE in itself, but just anybody that wants to campaign for the DREAM Act. And just so I guess our stakeholders here are undocumented students, and sometimes a lot of people don't know exactly what that means, and that is just somebody that has immigrated to this country. They might have came here via a visa and it has expired, or entered the country without documentation and has decided to reside here in the United States. And they do have access to higher education, so they're not denied admissions, but one of the main obstacles that a lot of these students face is that once they're in higher education, they're not eligible for financial aid. So that is a really big barrier to these students, and one of the reasons why the DREAM Act is such a big component of a comprehensive immigration reform act. And Judy kind of already mentioned what the DREAM Act stood for, and there's been a lot of different versions of the DREAM Act, starting from like 2000 to current day today. There's one, sitting in the committee to be heard and to be passed, and even though there's been a lot of movement, there still needs to be more awareness and more involvement in order for a piece of legislation like this to actually be able to pass. So yeah, so that's our issue.
So as far as why we also decided to do a web page is that we felt that the internet is a big asset. That you're able to communicate to people at much farther distances at a much faster rate. When we read the article, Think Local, Act Global, like one of the quotes that stood out to us was that internet technologies can change the nature of time as a resource in community organizing. And going back, it talked a lot about the Obama campaign, how that was his biggest deal, like working through internet, organizing through the use of internet. It's also, it saves more time and more money. You don't have to print out flyers, and you could reach a larger population that way. The website's also interactive, which means that it allows you to do blogs, do posts. Members and the organization can update the site. For example, if someone who's a member decides, hey, I just found out about this great opportunity in my community that's advocating for the DREAM Act, then they could just go on the site and post it up. It also allows for dialogue without face-to-face communication, which we felt that it was a big asset, especially for something that's such a hot topic as this. A lot of people don't want to state their legal status for fear that if they do, we all hear all these rapes that are going on right now. If they do, then, they're putting their life and their family in jeopardy. So without face-to-face communication, people are able to open up more. And it also facilitates social learning, so other members learn from other members as well.
So The DREAM Act is actually a very current hot button issue. If you look at any of the national newspapers, you'll see something related to the DREAM Act. But it isn't anything new. It was introduced actually in 2001, but it hasn't been able to get any political support. It's always the same party that's for or against it. So it's a very partisan issue, and that needs to be understood looking at it from a historical local context. So historically, undocumented people, especially those that are Latino background, have been demonized in the media and also have been used as political scapegoats. And one of the main issues with people who are opposed to the DREAM Act is they believe that why are we going to give financial resources or legalization to people who are here illegally when we have our own economic problems. So through this website, we're trying to also dispel some of those myths and the necessity of passing the DREAM Act. Another thing is those people who are advocating for the DREAM Act tend to be the undocumented students themselves. So they lack a lot of financial resources as well as support. So through this website, we can't give financial support, but at least we can lend our voices and lend the knowledge that we have to support this issue. One of the things that we realized through WebPain is that even though it's free, it's also a little bit limiting because we were searching for the site and you have to go through WebPain to access it. And one of the things that we would like moving forward from here is to actually buy our own domain so that we could reach a larger audience and that we could be just a lot more visible.
So as far as how did we engage our stakeholders, RISE and undocumented students are our biggest stakeholders for this webpage. And we engaged them we had conference calls with RISE, as well as we were able, although we did do the webpage for them, we still put the power in their hands, and any members and their citizens, the power is in their hands, because we did the content, but any members able to update, or you could apply to be a writer, and then that gives you full access to the administrative side of the site, and you could update and change up the format, change whatever you feel it will be more useful. We also keep posting up threads where we're like, hey, don't forget to visit us. If you have any useful information, please feel free to contact us. When we were working with RISE, we didn't want to only depend on the internet. They're also students. It's a student-led organization, so they also have busy schedules. So we made sure that they all had our contact numbers, our personal cell phone numbers, our emails, and we made it a priority that if we got information, we would get a hold of them. Sometimes I didn't have the answer, so I would just call Judy or call Annabelle and be like, hey, I don't have this answer, can you email them back? And that's how we communicated. As far as the takeaway and our aha moments, we became frustrated because we felt like maybe we were reinventing the wheels. There's a lot of websites already out there that have this. We felt like, our voices even being heard. Why do we even do this? We also have busy schedules. But at the end of the day, we realized that, change takes time. And yeah, we might not have 1 million site visits yet. But, in the process, it's like, if we reach out to one person and that one person finds our site useful, then, we've done our job. And that's the reason why we decided to go on, our little logo is a starfish. I don't know where that, right, you see it there. Well, we decided to take a starfish, pulling another starfish out of the water, and that reminded us of just an old camp story I learned when I was a little girl. Where's this old man? And from far away you see that the sand's all red, and then there's this little boy who's looking at this old man bent down, and he's picking something up and throwing it into the water. So as the little boy reaches the old man, he sees that all the red sand, it's actually starfishes. So he tells the old man, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. You're never going to put them all in the water. And the old man bends down, grabs another one, and throws it in the water, and tells the young boy, you're right, I might not throw them all back in the water, but it mattered to that one starfish. And that's how we felt at the end of our project.
And one other note, we gave you each this paper, and it has our URL, so there's a lot of information on this website if you guys are interested in looking at it. We'll put up this here's the URL, and if you guys are interested in creating your own website, here are the instructions as to how to do it.
As well as, like, we're not logged in right now, but we all have, us three, we have access to this live chat. If you were to go onto our website and type in a question, if we're online, it'll let you know, or as soon as we log on, we'll get the question, and it provides you, it lets us do live chatting.
So we definitely will welcome you to even refer any student that you think this website would be useful, like even creating awareness for undocumented students and how going to college. There's a tab for that, so we definitely have that, and we have some student testimonials and some videos that will probably be useful to look at since we don't have time to do that here. But
as well as all the links are there, so you don't have to go searching other sites. If we name a link, we link that up, so you just click on it and it automatically shoots you to that other link. So that's it.
Thank you. If you guys have any questions.
I remember hearing that over Thanksgiving that like they were going to do a vote on the DREAM Act and in the House. Do y'all have any updates on that?
so there was actually the White House, the Hispanic Education Initiative had a conference call just to saying how to get involved in that movement. And I mean, it's being reintroduced like every so often. So there's actually in the section that's getting involved in the movement, so what they encourage students to do is to call your legislators, so especially those House representatives that are not in favor of this legislation. They just want to hear voices from other people that, you know, they're encouraging this bill to pass. So we have the phone number. So this is like a broad number that you call and then you ask for a certain representative and be like, I want to speak, you know, to so-and-so, and they will connect you. So you can go ahead and do that, and that's a way to get involved.
But no, it has not been introduced on any of the, within the Senate or the House of Representatives. There's the fear that the Republicans will filibuster it. Harry Reid was trying to pass it through a DOD defense bill in early October, but it didn't happen.
Because usually the problem with this is that they tie it to a different like legislation, and sometimes it's so controversial. Like before, it could be like a broader comprehensive immigration reform, or like, you know, the Department of Defense bill. So usually, when they put it together with something else, it just dies. But this piece by itself, there's a lot more support by itself, but they haven't been able to introduce it as a standalone bill.
I'm not that familiar with the DREAM Act, but does it provide funding for undocumented students through, like, how do they do that?
So it depends. It's different versions. Some versions of them have provided, they state that they will provide financial aids or some type of loans or grants for the students. The last one in October that was attached to the Department of Defense did not include that component of it, but it did include a path towards legalization.
And in our website, we also put a page in going to college. There's a separate tab where it actually we went ahead and we compiled a lot of scholarships that are for students who are undocumented, and there are certain schools that offer scholarships just for that as well.
Right. And then we didn't touch about this too much, but some states do offer in-state tuition at least, because for most states, the students have to pay out-of-state tuitions because they're considered like a foreign student. And Michigan's actually not one of them. But
thank you.
It's just so not fair. There's just like, I have like 1,000 questions for you. But at this time, we're going to break. And so we'll see you back at 10 minutes to 11, please.
Oh, sure.